everyone world over, wherever you are. What a beautiful Wednesday, 11th November 2020 evening. And we have got a distinguished guest, Mr. Gilbert Santiagu. He is basically photography expert. He's a specialist and he's at the Idea Heavens. Wow, the name itself is so interesting and so motivating and so capturing. Great. It's such a pleasure. So, in our journey making education relevant, how the photography as a language can play an important role for all of us in our education system. Today, we have got 317th webinar, and we extend a very hearty welcome to all our brothers and sisters from world over in different time zones. Green morning, green afternoon, and green evening to everybody wherever you are. Let me just share a few of the slides. And thereafter, ladies and gentlemen, we will move on with Gilbert. Now, under the dynamic and dedicated leadership of this handsome technocrat, corporate, and the leader of Media Entertainment Sector Skill Council, Mr. Mohit Soni, and of course, there's a lady who is coordinating the whole program, Pooja Arora. We extend a very warm welcome to all of you this evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to have all of you wherever you are joining us from. International Chamber for Service Industry, excuse me, our chamber, which is basically dealing with the non-resident Indians world over in different countries, in the different continents, and you all are in different time zones at this point of time. During pandemic, we can understand there are lots of challenges, but well, situation is improving, things are improving. From India, we always call it Vasudev Kutumbakam. That's what is the definition which comes from India. Heartiest congratulations to India's Prime Minister, Education Minister, all the stakeholders, because the new education policy is a wonderful document and we await now for its implementation. During this pandemic, we have been collecting a lot of research from the world over. And one of the area which has got emerged that is that the whole world is going to face lots of difficulty related to waters in future, including the city where from our today's guest is, that is Chennai, Bangalore, Punjab. All these places are going to have lots of difficulty in coming times as far as water is concerned. Now, women empowerment is very important because it's a girl child. When you educate them, they run the family, they run the civilization, and subsequent generations. If they get educated, they will run the family the best possible way. Our chamber from morning 9 till
Hello.
evening 12 hours, we are non-stop with all of you throughout the world, what we are taking into considerations. So our chamber extends a very hearty welcome to all of you. This is the canvas for the entire week, which you can enjoy. People, those are joining us for the first time, you should know. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 day, we have got youth and teachers. Friday, we come to water management. Saturday, we go to Chicago, Swami Vivekanand. Sunday, we talk about micro, small, and the medium enterprise. Then Saturday evening, you have got a special program that is on Ayurveda. Sunday morning on Srimad Bhagavad Gita and India's principal Upanishad. Then Sunday evening at 3 p.m., we bring you to ASEAN, that is all the 10 beautiful countries in Southeast Asia. And thereafter, finally, with the non-resident Indians, we have the final program that is how they can contribute. Every day, Monday to Friday, we have got a special program for you. That is what does today's youth want? It's in Hindi, it's in the afternoon at 12:30. Now, these are again a couple of events which are taking place from time to time with regard to getting all the educators together. And ladies and gentlemen, I wish to share with all of you, ICSI has carried out a research where we wish to share with all of you what all we have been doing during the last 6 months. And there we wish to share that now the world is getting back to basics of life. B2B is no more business to business. It's back to basics. So your basic food, your basic health, and your basic education, that's the golden triangle. We all got to be taking care of sustainable development. Whatsoever human mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. It's a pleasure. This evening we have got Mr. Gilbert Santiago. He is joining us all the way from Chennai in India. He is a well-established commercial photographer. His vision is to implement revolutionary education system by incorporating researched and developed styles of creative education through games, observational learnings, reflective learnings, and self-evaluation. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Mr. Gilbert Santiago this evening, and we are looking forward to his valuable views and discussions with all of us. Hearty welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So, good evening to one and all present here for the session, for today's session. Because let's start, because I'm a commercial photographer plus educator. So just a few minutes, I'll just take a few minutes to explain like what I'm currently doing. So I'm more into education because I love to do I bring in some creative kind of an education where the students are engaged and they are really interested. So the photography was my core in the beginning. So that helped me to come up with this style of an education. So in today's session, we'll just look, it's not just about photography, the techniques, what we usually speak about. It's more the other section of photography. That's what I said, like the title itself says that it's photography as a language. So we'll see what photography as a language tells in today's session. So firstly, we'll just look into something called as photography. We have a myth, like everyone feels the photography is about capturing moments. It's all about camera, right? So everyone speaks about tool and there's a lot of promotion happening with the tool. So now let's see what else is here in photography. Okay. So when we take photography, right? So we usually have one thing in here. Just let me share something here. So there's a huge question mark now. So what photography is? So when I ask, like, so before that, I would like to say something. Like, I would like to take the session into a more of an interactive and a knowledge sharing session, more than like a kind of a lecture or kind of a theoretical session. So the first thing is, like, there's a huge question mark what photography is, because I've been working with students and then I've been asking students about what photography is. And so the result which I got, the answer which I got from most of the people is that photography is about capturing moments. It's more about how we use a camera, how we handle a camera, how a camera captures a photograph. So what a camera can do, it's more about camera, right? So wherever you see photography, when you kind of term call is, when you ask someone like what photography is, immediately the thing that comes to our mind is camera, right? True. So so today we'll break that. So we'll see what the tool does and what the real photography is. So photography is like more about art plus science. It's more of an art. So we have lost that part called as art. So we are more concentrated about science now. So where we learn more about, when we say photography, we learn about cameras. Yeah, we learn about lights. We learn about lenses. We learn about principles, rules, the labels, a lot of different fancy labels and fancy names in terms of rules. But we have lost like what the real art of photography is. Right. So we have lost what emotion is, what thoughts is, what what we visualize things and how we think, and the self-talk about what I have and how I communicate. Right. So we have lost that. So today we'll just concentrate more about this art part. So I'll share my experience about the art part, like what's an art in photography. So what else we can do about photography, right? So the very first thing is, let's look at the language, right? So there's a language called English, and there are different languages. Even if you just take in India, there are multiple languages here. If you just take Hindi is there, Malayalam is there, Telugu, Tamil, and we speak English as well. But when a South Indian travels to North, so they won't be able to connect because I don't know the language. So I cannot communicate with the people. All right. So in that case, like, what do I do? What exactly do I do there in that particular situation? So I need visuals, right? So I speak through sign language. So that's the visuals. That's the power of visual, right? So that's where the visual begins. So again, it's a language, but we don't realize that even that is a language, right? So how we can communicate through lights and how we can communicate through the other aspects. So how we can bring photography as language is what we are going to cover up today. So we'll see the language part of photography. And in the beginning, I would like to talk about a few things here in terms of photography, right? So photography is the term photography, like what photography is that? It's more about painting through light. So we have different art forms here. So we have, there are a lot of graphic designers, there are painters, there are sketchers, animators, filmmakers, musicians. Yes, everything is a language here. So everyone have their own imagination. They have their own uh, content in their mind. So what we imagine, right? So we need a language to communicate that. So maybe some people are good at language, some people are good at words, but some people are not. So they need a visual language. So some people are good at visuals, but they're not. Some people are not good at visuals, and or some people are not good at words as well. So they get to music. So they get involved with that. So these are different platforms. So today, let me just take you through the journey of photography. So photography is more of, I said, like, photography is about painting through light, right? So first we need to know what a light can do. What is what are the styles of magic a light can do. So let me just share you a few visuals. So let's just take a look at this photographs what I've captured here. So these are three individual photographs having different emotions involved. But I've just tried.
It's not moving. It's at the first slide only arts plus science, where you have got emotion, thought, visualization, self-talk.
Sorry.
Uh,
Oh yeah, concepts.
it has not moved.
Yes. Yes, sir. Is it clear now? Can I see the
Yes,
screen?
it has moved. It has moved.
Yes, brilliant. So one interesting about light is that so when we cannot see something in the dark, right? So we need light to see something. So whatever you have to see, like through visuals, you definitely need a light to see the visuals. So the photography is completely is based on lighting. So without lighting, there's no photography, because the term itself says that photography is something about painting through light, right? So when we come to this particular sculptures, right? So I've just tried capturing these three sculptures. So I found something very interesting in here. The very interesting part about the light is that it can just change the emotion and change the characters, and give it can give a lot of it can add a lot of magic to a subject or to a photograph, because so that's the reason I've tried doing a research on this, tried to capture the same sculpture, but I haven't have the same kind of a background and the same kind of the monochromatic one. And when I changed the light, right, so the complete characteristics of this particular sculpture changed. So it was like very interesting to me. And then I learned like what a light can communicate. So again, the light is communicates the emotion. It communicates like what kind of an emotion that particular person or that particular character or that particular scene or that particular mood is trying to communicate to you. So same way, like we have a lot of communication aspects in here when it comes to light. So when we see a thing, we say that it's morning, it's evening. So we say it's afternoon. So all this thing is like the light basically communicates us what that particular scene, what that particular, what is that, the time period is. The light is the major thing that's communicating to us, but we don't realize certain things about the nature, right? So it's more about a magic, right? Without our conscious, we could figure out it's morning, it's evening, it's night, right? So and then when I went deep into that, I figured out that the light can do these many things. So I'm not getting to the technical parts of light again. And then there are the other aspects as well, right? So when we see colors, we see textures, we see a lot of different shapes, we see a lot of different designs, patterns around us, right? So when I look at these things, right, everything is communicating one thing or the other. So when we just take colors, we'll just talk something about the nature here, right? So the nature teaches us a lot of things, lot of things. Because when I learned something about this nature, this what is that photography language. So when I started doing my photography thing, so first I started the technical aspect, learning what light is, what the definition of light, what each and every definition does, what is the lighting, what is color, what is composition, because there was a lot of terms. And then later, at a point of time, I stopped, I was not able to move further. One second, just.
Are you there? Are you there?
So
Are
yeah,
you?
yes, yes, sir, yes, sir. Is my voice audible?
Yeah, now it's audible.
Yes, yes, sir. Perfect. So what I yeah. So I started observing a lot of things from nature. Okay, so once I've completed with the technical aspects, I was wondering like what to do next. So what the real photography thing is about. So then I started exploring all these aspects, then blending in with nature. What a photography does, because there are a lot of people here who there are graphic designers here, there are animators, there are filmmakers, there are fashion designers here. But what does a photography do to all these people, right? So when we say photography as a language, once again, sorry for the interruption. Yes. So when we speak about photography as a language, right? So the first thing is it's a language to understand and to learn about nature. So that's what the photography does, because photography is involved with lighting, colors, textures, patterns, right? So basically what it does is, like, as a photographer, we try to communicate through a single frame. We try to communicate a lot of stories through a single frame. So what it does to the other people, it's like what other people should know about photography, right? So what it helps is, like, it helps us to learn nature. It helps us to see the beauty of nature. So the photography basically helps us to admire and concentrate and get inspired from nature. So how do we get inspired from nature? Through photography, right? So first thing, I spoke about this light. So we start looking at a lot of lights, and then I started capturing a lot of different colors the nature has, the beautiful color patterns what the nature has. So that is the best, the color palettes or the color combinations, or the, we call, like, we have different terms there, right? We call as tertiary, we have monochromatic, we call as achromatic, and then other different styles of the color patterns, right? The color definitions what we have. So if we just start looking into nature, right, it has a brilliant the color palettes. But how do we observe that? Because when I walk into the street, I start capturing something beautiful. Yes, I do take some flowers. I capture something of this landscapes. But beyond that, there's a lot of magic happening there. So what happens is, like, when we start taking photographs, right? So this particular photography thing helps us to look deep into each and every aspect. So for example, so the color of this particular fish, what we see here, the combination of that particular brown and that particular the silver what we have, and then the black combination, it's the textures what we see and the colors combination what we see in the fish is something natural, right? So that was very brilliant. I'll show you a few more visuals. The combination of the white, the blue, the palette of blue what we see here, the different color shades of blue, and then that's blending with the white, and then the textures what it has, the design what it has, the color, the style of green what it has, right? So that's something very brilliant. So what happens is, like, when I start clicking photographs, I just look really deep. I started looking deep into that. I started looking deep into the colors of the different aspects. So what nature has. So it helped me to create a palette. It helped me to create a lot of things here. So what happened is, like, so once I started looking into these colors, that the colors of the leaves and the colors of the nature and the colors of mud and then the rust what we have, so everything has been created by nature. So that started communicating a lot to me. And there was one simple activity which I was doing with the students. So we just went early morning into the paddy field, where we were standing there, and I asked the student to just capture, like, what do you feel about this particular location. So they started clicking photographs. And all of a sudden, the student was like, what should I capture? Like, what will I do? Like, I don't find anything here. I don't feel anything here. So what should I do about this particular photograph? So, but since the early morning, the party field, right, was like filled with dew, right? So when we were just standing there, we could just feel the wetness, but it was not speaking to us. It was not communicating through words. It was just a feeling. So how will I communicate that? Through visuals. So that was the point there. So what I experienced is the wetness, but the communication was not through words. It was through different emotion, right? So now I just gave her a brief that you'll have to capture that. How we're going to capture that? So she started capturing different textures, the textures of the different droplets of water. So that communicated that that particular location has that particular feel. When you just move to that particular location, you have that exact same feel. So that was communicated through that particular point. So same way, the nature doesn't communicate through words; it communicates through visuals, colors, a feel. We feel through a lot of different senses, right? So that we are communicating through photographs. So that through different styles and patterns of light and patterns of colors. So basically, when I look at this particular photograph, so when I capture this particular photograph, so there's one thing is about the beauty of nature, which inspired me so much. There's the colors, there is different styles of shapes, different styles of the patterns that design create, and the color, the levels of the colors it has, right? Since it's monochromatic, we see the levels of exposure here. So that communicated a lot of things to me when I was just taking photograph. It's not just about clicking something there. So we are trying to communicate something through the photograph. So what we are trying to communicate there, what matters there. So because what I experienced when I was in that particular location, what was running, what did I thought, what did I feel? So that's what the photography is all about, right? So we are trying to communicate what we imagine. So let me just take you through a few scenes, a few series what I've captured here. So I was just walking around this fish market. So I was there in the morning. So when I was just walking around fish market, I found that there was a lot of things happening. There was a busy place. There was what is that? There was a lot of business happening, and there was beautiful boats. There was beautiful other locations as well. There was a sunrise. There was like a lot of busy shops. A lot of things were happening. It's a happening place, right? But the thing that was when I was at that particular location, all I experienced is about there is life that is happening from a death. So I was just looking there. There was a fish and there was business. So every business and that the whole thing, whatever happened around that particular market was happening because of that particular fish, what's lying there. So I thought like, okay, I'll have to capture a series where I'll have to communicate what I feel. Like what I felt is like there's a life from death. So that's the whole scene here. So basically, when I started capturing photographs, I didn't want to show any of the humans in here. So I started bringing in the props, committing the props in the frame, and then the fish on the foreground, bringing the presence of the market space here, and then what it is based on. So everything is starting from this particular fish, and then the whole business here, the whole life is here happening because of this particular subject here, right? So the visual communication, exactly the visual communication, like how I visually communicate here is that through the composition, through committing different elements into the frame. So one thing is about the fish, and to bring in the presence of the marketplace, I'm just bringing in the baskets here, and then the human presence to show the busyness here. And again, so capturing the different emotions again and what's happening there. To styles of composition again. So I'll show you a few more. That's what I've captured here. So the communicating one complete story here. So we have the blending of that particular raw material into our design. So basically the raw material blends into a design with a tool. So I was like, when I was looking into that particular place, when I was visiting this particular place, this was running in my mind. So I just want to showcase the whole scene in image. So I want to communicate this particular whole scene. I want to communicate a scene where like how the raw material is blending in, because there's a magic happening here. There's a real-time magic happening here. But that's the same thing I wanted to communicate to my the people of the audience who are looking into my photographs. So this style of in composition, committing different elements, bringing in different elements, help me to achieve that particular aspect. So how do I visually communicate in photography? So I communicate through different aspects here. So bringing in the props, the composition style, the lighting, the pattern, and everything. So here it's complete. It's more about the shapes. That's explaining the whole story here. So what's happening? There's a family, there's a travel, and then there's someone outside the frame. That's happening outside the frame. There's someone pulling the camel outside the frame. So that's a whole scene here. There's a whole story happening in here, because when I was looking at this particular location, I just enjoyed the whole scene here. So I wanted to show the exact frame, because there's a lot of other things happening in here, but I tried to compose the whole thing to communicate the exact story what I wanted. So let's look into this particular visual, what we see here. So I wanted to capture the scene because when I was traveling to this particular location, I want to communicate a story. What is the story which I wanted to say? What was running in my mind? So the thing that was running in my mind is that I have to show the location, which place it is, what's happening here. So, and where this car has been placed, whose car is this, who's the owner of the car. And so the reflection is one of the elements that helped me to do it. So through reflection, I could show what's outside the frame so basically I'm blending two different frames here. So the reflection of the glass is communicating one story to me, and then the real-time image here is communicating the other story to me. And now plate what you have here is communicating which location it is. So it's different style of location, the composition again. So this is one thing which I try to capture here, blending two different stories in a single photograph. So it's a real-time story blending in with the nature, what's the landscape or the scene, what is around. Okay, so I've been showing a lot of compositions here, and the few lighting thing about the sculptures, and then something about colors here, and then the landscape photographs. So everything, whatever I captured, is being inspired from nature. So how do I get all these shots? How do I compose these kind of things? How do I derive to this particular ideas? So everything is being planned through nature. So the colors what I use is been when I was just looking around, when I started capturing photographs, then I started capturing beautiful colors in here. And then when it comes to reflection, I started the water reflection was amazing to me. And the lighting that falls in the early in the morning was amazing to me. And then the different textures and the color patterns on a butterfly is beautiful. And then the animal or the rust it creates or the rain and then the texture what it creates, each and every aspect is very beautiful to me. So when I started looking and observing nature a lot, it gave me a lot of variety of palette and it helped me to learn a lot of things. So how did I learn that? So that's where this particular photography language came in. So for example, there's a lot of inventions happening in here, right? So there's lot of inventions, new inventions happening in here. But if we just look into that core point from where it's been derived, so it will be from nature. Every invention, every unique inventions are from nature. So they are derived from nature. Again, if you just take an automobile is more compared to nature again, the wildlife perhaps. And then when you just compare to the bullet train, and there's one part of the bullet train where they try to do, they resolve that one particular problem of a bullet train through using a kingfisher. And then with the waterproof things, what you have, again, uh, it's been based on a skin of an the sea animal what we have. So that's how the waterproof has been invented. So there's a lot of things in here, but how do I look into those things? How can I see those things? How can I bring that particular magic? How can I invent new things, right? So that's where the visualization comes in. So when we talk about visualization, so the thing that helps us to visualize things is photography. So the photography is one of the key elements that helps us to visualize things, because all we capture is light. So then through light, what we see is colors, and then through colors, we start seeing a lot of beauty and magic. So it helps us. The photography is the language. So one thing which I said in the beginning, right? The people from south, when he moves to the north, again he speaks through body language. He speaks through body form, again through visuals. So what we see, so we communicate through visuals, right? And then we saw like what photography is, like composition, and we have all these things and how it derived and how we derived from nature. So everything has been inspired and we capture everything through nature. And then the lot of invention has been through nature, right? So photography, what happens is that we need to study nature. We need to understand what nature is trying to tell to us, right? So and what exactly is happening, and we'll have to start observing each and every bit and small minute things about nature. So photography helps us to do that. So that acts as a language. So because when I say language, so when I start capturing different beautiful lights, so I see that, oh my God, this light is beautiful, so I start capturing the light. So I start feeling, and I start to understand that, okay, this kind of light is communicating thing to me. And when I start capturing, because there's a lot of color, and then the color creates a lot of different moods, right? So we understand that particular mood, we experience that particular mood. So again, it happens, it's communicating, the color is communicating. And so when I just looked at this particular mud and the texture that's been created through mud, right, it communicated different stories to me. So I was just walking around, and when I looked at this was very interesting to me. When I captured this, there's a lot of story behind it. And then I started having an imagination. So it basically communicated to me the texture that is being on the soil, right? So that started communicating a lot of stories to me. The imagination, because we usually imagine. So I started imagining like what kind of a character he would be, and what would have been the scene, what is around, what's outside this particular frame. So all these kind of curiosity and these kind of communication has been created here. And again, this particular texture, the tire mark of an automobile that's been that's on the sun, right? So that's communicating a different story, and that's it helped. What is that? It is making me imagine a lot of other things as well. So when we see the whole thing, right? When we look into all these things, so first we learn what is that? So to invent or to create, there's something called as inspiration. So each and everyone here needs an inspiration. So how do I get inspired? How do I get inspired from nature? So how do I understand nature? How do I learn things from nature? So that's where this particular language of photography comes in, and it helps us to learn and see things in a creative perspective. So you can raise the questions now.
Wonderful. Now, just tell,
Yes.
as a beginner,
Yes.
if somebody wants to do a short-term
Okay.
course with the Media
Yes.
Entertainment Sector Skill Council, what
Yes.
programs are available at present for children?
In terms of photography.
Yes, yes, because your area, what we are deliberating this evening.
Yes, sir. So can you just repeat the question because I missed
No, no.
certain things?
With
Yeah.
Media Entertainment Sector Skill Council,
Hmm.
what are the courses available, short-term courses available of your this profession, whatever you have shown today?
Okay.
What courses are available with Media Entertainment Sector Skill Council?
Yes. So we have a lot of programs running. So we have this fine art photography is involved, and then the commercial photography is involved as well. And then we have degree programs running now, the
Okay,
creative degree programs as well. Yeah.
okay.
In terms of we have this diploma course running, and where when it comes to fine art, right, the students start.
No, no. I'm
So,
not looking forward to long-term courses. I'm not
yes.
looking
Yes.
forward. I'm asking, there is a Sector Skill Council of Media Entertainment.
Hmm.
They have got short-term courses, 3 months course, 4 months course.
Hmm.
I'm not looking forward to a long-term programs because at this point of time during pandemic, children are interested to get some kind of an income, some kind of a
Yes.
job. So first of all, my two things are there, two concerns. Number one, which is the shortest possible course available through the
Yeah.
Sector Skill Council? And second part is what kind of immediate openings are there for them when the coronavirus says now things are getting better, situation is improving. Immediately, what are the job opportunities for them? And if somebody wants to go for startup, what can they take up? All three areas. First is the training, second
Hmm.
is the startup, and third is taking up a job somewhere. These
Okay.
three things are very important.
Okay. So when it comes to photography, there's a short-term course where we learn the commercial aspects of photography. So there is a this short-term fashion courses, fashion photography courses happening, and then the wedding programs, which is really good now because the students wants to enter into wedding events. So where they will learn the wedding photography. So it will be really helpful for them. When they complete the short-term course, they can start their own startups involved with the events. And then when it comes to this product and commercial photography, yeah, they can get involved with different companies working with them because they have a lot of openings now for these style of product and the fashion photographs as an in-house photographers.
But you know, during the pandemic, at
Yeah.
this point of time, nobody will talk about fashion.
Yes.
Basic
Yes.
necessity of the life is required at this point of time. So
Hmm.
I'm taking it from that point of view. Would you be kind enough, to just give a little guidance on that? Children, what course they should take up at right at this time under Sector Skill Council for Media Entertainment Sector Skill Council? And number two, what could be immediately the kind of an opportunities which are available for them because everybody is looking forward to some kind of an earning at this point of time.
Yes. Yes.
Everybody is passing through a difficult times.
Hmm.
So I mean, so what do you suggest on that?
Because can you be more clear on this? Because it's like you You mean that like when the people want to work from home and so that they start earning money within online courses? That's what you mean?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
thinking from that. I'm thinking
Okay.
from that point of view. And another question somebody has asked, if
Yes.
somebody wants to initially start a photography or wants to become a photographer, then which basic camera they should use? Of course, nowadays mobile itself has got camera,
Yes.
and
Yes.
one
Yes.
can learn from there. You don't require any other external
Yes.
camera. But is
Yes.
there any basic professional camera which you feel they should take? Because at this point of time, they should not spend money.
Yes. Yes.
I'm
True.
talking about earning, not spending. I'm
Yes.
thinking
True.
from that point of view.
True, true. So I would like to answer both the questions. So first, let me answer to your question. So when like, what can I do from within my house, right? So there is a lot of stock images now happening because of this quarantine, because everyone has been locked down. So there is a lot of stock images that has been selling because we're not able to do the shoot, we're not able to get out. So when we do this short-term course online, so when we learn how to do that, and then we can start making our own shoots within our house area, and then when we just do it in the stock, so the people can earn from that particular stock images, so where we don't have to get out of the house, so we can do our own setups here. And the next thing is about which camera do I have to invest. So when it comes to a camera, it's the first thing is, if I'm going to learn, if I want to learn what photography is, so I don't have to invest on the camera right now if I'm going to learn, because it's camera is just a tool. So what we have in our mind, so the basic idea about, like as I spoke about, lighting, composition, textures, so these are the main principles we'll have to learn first. So to learn that, to increase your observation skill, to increase that particular perspective of how I see things different, so even the mobile phones what we have is more than enough for me. So coming to the DSLR cameras, so why do we need a DSLR cameras? So for example, I'm very much restricted to the settings, right? So I cannot experiment, and I cannot do something very big, and I cannot give a huge resolution with my mobile camera. So in that case, I move to a DSLR. So even in your DSLRs, there is a lot of variations. You have different formats of DSLRs. So again, like, what is gonna be where I'm gonna sell my photograph? If I'm gonna sell my photograph, where they're gonna use it? According to that, you will need your cameras. But to learn as a beginner, I would not suggest, because learning photography is more about developing your skill of how you visualize and in what perspective you see things. It's not about understanding the tool. Understanding the tool is secondary. When we have to earn money, we need to understand the tool. So if we get into real photography, we need to understand. We need to develop the mind. Yeah.
Okay, somebody is asking, is there any particular app you would like to suggest which children can practice at their own?
App in the sense like for the editing, or
No, learning photography part or something.
okay. So for the learning part, you can get into, like, nowadays a lot of YouTubers, and you see a lot of bloggers doing and learning, teaching photography. You have a lot of what is that, YouTube channels teaching photography for you on a free of cost. So I would suggest that, and if you want to get deep into it, there are a lot of master classes where you can enroll yourself, and then you can learn from the professional photographers now.
Okay. I think, Gilbert, thank you very much. It was
Thank you, sir.
wonderful to have you this evening with us. Thanks for sharing your expertise and wonderful photographs and what all you have captured through your camera. That's
Yes.
something is really, really wonderful. Wish you all the best, all the success, all the wonderful days ahead. Thanks a lot for coming for today's program and sharing